All right, welcome back. I hope you're having an awesome time so far. Our next speaker is Rachel Steinberg. She is the head of Mesa at Sidewalk Labs. Please join me in welcoming Rachel to our virtual stage.
Thanks so much. I'm excited to be here. I'm Rachel. I work for a company called Sidewalk Labs. It's an urban innovation company, part of the Alphabet portfolio. And we have products across different technology offerings. I focus mainly on building operations and sustainability. So I wanted to share a little bit more about green building operations and easy ways to get started. Of course, we all know why this matters. The climate risk is certainly around us. Everyone knows it, but it also is a big part of what's creating investment risk for us as well. So I think everyone's on the same page about some of the risks, but I think what's most important for us to focus on is that a lot of emissions come from cities. So cities are certainly the biggest emitters of greenhouse gases. And within cities, it's especially important to realize that dense cities, buildings can account for around 70% of emissions. And of that 70%, commercial buildings are a hefty percentage of it. So 30% of the building emissions come from commercial buildings, when in dense cities like New York, it is only 3% of the building count and 15% of the square footage. So it certainly has an outsized proportion. And as you can see also on the chart on the bottom of the slide, most of the emissions come from heating, cooling, and outlets. So 65% come from HVAC, ventilation as well, and outlets. And so there's a lot that can get done with knowing the data and understanding that information. I think a lot of us have been walking around during COVID when buildings have been practically empty, but feeling the heating and cooling at full blast during the day, or seeing that the lights have been on. So the other good news, I would say, is there is a lot of low-hanging fruit, and we are at a transition period with lots of opportunity. So I wanted to share a little bit more about what actually matters within a building to reduce emissions, but also to just operate it more affordably. And I wanted to share a little bit more about what you can do to help it. So with that in mind, the data that you should collect, or what do we need? Of course, we can't change what we don't know. So getting information is step one. The information that I think is most important to reduce operating costs and especially reduce energy usage is understanding electricity usage. So having a sense of where the electricity is going, the price of electricity at different points of the day, getting a sense of the temperature and humidity within a space so that you can have more control and more dynamic control of HVAC, outdoor weather. So understanding what is the weather and predicted weather to be able to control the temperature within a space more effectively. Time to reach set point within those spaces. So once you have more granular data around the temperature and humidity of a space, then you can start to understand how long does it take to reach the desired set point, and when would it change given the weather outside. And also a sense of occupancy. Are the buildings or tenant spaces empty? Do people leave early on Fridays? Is anyone working on the weekends? And making sure that the HVAC and even some of the shared outlets like conference room monitor outlets are adjusted accordingly. But if you don't have that data, you're never going to be able to make those adjustments. Some other nice to haves are just understanding the comfort level. Many spaces are overheated or overcooled, and that provides an easy win of tenant comfort, but also savings. And having a sense of some indicator of air quality like carbon dioxide within the space helps us better ventilate spaces. Good news is that it's never been easier to measure this data. There's a lot of offerings out there. I'm sure a lot of people have been offered different types of technologies for energy optimization that also help to reduce operating costs. I think that there's a few important questions to ask when you're evaluating products. And remember, there's going to be super high-end products and then probably much easier to use offerings. So get a sense of the company, the size, the funding that they have, any validation that they have. I think that's a clear one everyone knows. Within the products, I always find anything around energy savings, green operations, really hard to piece out from websites. So some of the clear questions or clear areas of differentiation are controls versus data. Does it actually control the space? Will it adjust your heating and cooling, outlets, lighting, or will it give you the data so you can adjust it? Are there dependencies? A lot of products depend on having a building management system or a building automation system to collect the data. So understanding what other dependencies might be in place for those products. The installation process, is there going to be a ton of labor involved in rewiring things or commissioning things or setting everything up? That could always increase the cost pretty dramatically. Having the ROI, clear understanding of how it saves money and how it impacts the sustainability and the operating expenses bottom lines, and cost and pricing, of course. I think that's one everyone knows. Does it integrate easily? If you're going to install another application within your space and you want things to talk to each other, you want the technologies to talk to each other, can you integrate? The look and feel. We're in a time when technology should not look like junk in a space, but should look quite nice. And what's the roadmap for that product? Where are they headed in the direction that you care about for your buildings and your spaces? I think another thing to consider is the relationship that the product has within the tenants and within the tenant spaces and with the operators. So is it a product that will help you promote your space more effectively? And how can you work on the marketing angle of that to convey the value that you're creating within your buildings? So I wanted to share a little bit more about the product I work on, mainly because I think that it helps answer some of these questions, but just to give you a flavor of what's out there. So the product at Sidewalk Labs that focuses on energy optimization within existing buildings is called Mesa. It is an easy install product. We found there are a lot of products out there that are not, and so we tried to make it super simple and easy to install. It's very much, feels like paint by numbers in some ways on the installation. You can stick things on the wall, plug things in, and it's pretty much ready to go. There's a little bit of rewiring on thermostats, but otherwise it's just plug and play, literally. Everything's pre-commissioned. It's intended to be a great experience for tenants, operators, and landlords. And it does feel like an upgrade in the space. And it is affordable by design. So we tried to target more of an affordable bracket so that it's not, hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars for installations like some building management systems could otherwise be, or layers over building management systems. And this doesn't require a building management system. You get a lot in the kit, so you really do get a good sense of granular data within your space. You can understand, are windows open or closed, the temperature within every zone, occupancy and motion, occupancy based on motion within spaces, so that HVAC, Mesa then adjusts the HVAC and the outlets accordingly, hot cold buttons for tenant comfort, and then of course the dashboard and the smarts that are actually controlling the devices. So it is a controls based system and not just the data. And it really is automated savings. You can see real-time trends and control your devices remotely. So we found in the time where the office is no longer a 9-to-5 place, making sure that people can either manually turn on and off and adjust the equipment within their space matters, especially remotely doing that, and then making sure that no one is dependent on for remembering to turn things off in the evening or on weekends, or having things scheduled in a way that presumes a 9-to-5, everyone's in the office 5 days a week schedule. That's the quick overview. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Feel free to email me and my team at mesa@sidewalklabs.com, we're happy to answer questions, even if it's not about our product, related to how you can better control your building, save money, save energy, and make sure that you have the impact you want within your tenant spaces. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you, Rachel. Thank you for sharing these insights with us. That was an awesome presentation, and I can hear this virtual audience giving you a huge virtual round of applause. All right, for the audience, it's time for you to make your way to your next session. Along the way, make sure you accept your connection request and take some time to check out our amazing exhibits. Thanks so much, and we'll see you around.